But
Right.
we will move on to more Marvel news of things that are actually happening in the present. Clint and Kate come to
Hawkeye.
face to face in right. I was just gonna do a little different in Hawkeye, episode 3, with the tracksuit boss Maya, better known as Echo. The show opens up by getting the viewer up to speed with the character that she is deaf and has a prosthetic leg. And oh, by the way, her dad was in a tracksuit and got killed by Ronin, who had suddenly returned after years of being in hiding. Clint and Kate escape with some vintage Hawkeye action. As of now, Clint's secret of being Ronin is safe, but it's inevitable that it will come out. The episode closes with the Ronin sword at Clint's neck with Jack on the other side. So, do we want to talk about it, or we can jump into the episode maybe a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about that action sequence in when they are escaping. Because there's nothing better than Hawkeye. There's nothing better than Clint not looking and fucking bullseyeing somebody.
I love it.
Just
I mean,
the
that's what he
no-look
does.
archery shot. Like he's Pistol Pete Maravich.
Yep.
Throwing the no-look pass.
Actual no look. Not looking at all.
Not looking at all. Not even
not turning his head after he already shot it.
No, there's not even any peripherals. That was like straight up Steph Curry shooting a 3, turn around, talking trash to the fans.
Yeah, it
was
awesome.
Exactly what that was. There is something like cool, and that's the thing. And we talked about with Hawkeye last week that his strength is acknowledging the fact that he's just a dude who's just very accurate.
Yeah,
that's a good skill to have,
right?
To be very accurate. But when they lean into that, but then also when they take that skill and make it into complete badassery, like they did. Once they got into the car, they did for a while one continuous shot, which, as I've said numerous times, I know when we did our Extraction retro review of the Chris Hemsworth movie that's somehow getting a sequel, that's one of my favorite film
awesome
techniques. I wish they would have done it longer. They only did it for probably about 30 seconds. Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, like I said, that's one of my very favorite techniques of for filming. And so, for them to do that was cool. The action in general was good. I didn't like so much all the trick arrows. Like it got to the point where it was like, okay, we get it. They're all they're all different.
But I almost think they did it intentionally too. Like, because she was wondering what everything is, and he's like over it.
Yeah,
he was kind of over it too. Like, oh yeah, sure, it's this thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was that bit could have gone on a little bit less for me. Echo as a character seems interesting. Her backstory seems interesting. We'll get into that in a couple seconds. But I mean, I said last week I was under the assumption that she was a widow. She doesn't. I mean, that doesn't seem to be the case. Maybe that was just me jumping to conclusions based on who we know is going to show up later in the series. Spoilers. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was another very strong episode.
I think this show is way better than it needed to be good.
Yeah.
I really like it. That, we talk about WandaVision was our favorite up to this.
Yeah.
You and I both agree WandaVision.
Mhm.
I didn't necessarily agree at first, and then the more I went back and thought about it, I definitely think WandaVision was the best. I think Elizabeth Olsen got robbed and of Best Actress because of what she did. This show it does everything right. And the thing we talk about the action, the whole thing about him not being able to hear, and he takes his hearing aid out, and like that scene where he's talking to his kid and Kate's that's like a great scene. I mean, whether that's in a Marvel movie or that's just in, a drama, where Steve Carell steps aside from, doing The Office and does this dramatic movie. That's what it felt like to me. And it's just, that was a really, really good scene. And this show, and it did it seamlessly. They had their battle. They did the thing where they leap off and you see him, falling backwards and he connects. And so you get like this perfect Hawkeye scene of him being just a total badass. And then the next scene is like so not what you think of when you think of like a badass. He has his hearing aid out. He can't hear anything. He's trying to like talk to his kid, and Kate's relaying the information to him. It's like he goes from this super awesome superhero who isn't actually a superhero to like actually showing that as I am not even just a normal person, but I'm a person with like actual like a deformity now because
Of my
I have been
years
through
of
so
an
much
Avenger.
crap.
Yeah.
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 And I thought that was really cool. I mean, this episode to me is the best so far. And I have this thing where it's 6 episodes. So we're halfway through.
Yeah.
I think every episode is going to get better. And I think the 6th episode is going to just kind of blow us out of the water with either where we're headed or just the way we, you know, go with Hawkeye's storyline. I'm very excited for where it goes next. But that leads us. Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that it continues to get stronger, whereas I feel like they do a good job, Marvel, of nailing that sort of mentor-mentee on-screen relationship. You had it with Tony and Iron Man, or I'm sorry, Tony and Spider-Man, Tony and Peter. Some of the other, you know, characters that they've kind of portrayed that way, but when it's 2 guys who were kind of on the same like playing field, that's why I don't think necessarily the Falcon and the Winter Soldier worked as well, because, you know, it was goofy, it was like way too much. They tried way too hard, I think, to try to make it funny. And Hawkeye so far has just the right amount of humor, and it has like, I think it has subtle humor, like the LARPing scene, because basically at this point, that's what Clint thinks that he does.
Yeah,
pretty much as an Avenger, he's just a live action role player. He's just a dude with a bow and arrow. I liked the scene where she drew him a new suit, and it's like his original suit from the comic. That was awesome. Yeah, that was funny.
That was great.
I liked the scene where they were on the subway and she's like, oh man, we're communicating, we're really getting it. And then he goes, you need to let that dog out because he can't, you know, because he can't hear. Well. I thought that was a good, you know, good moment of levity. But it also, it was a moment of levity, but it also kind of continues to bring you back to the fact that Clint Barton has been beat to hell over the last, you know, however long. So
it's cool to see, because we don't get that with, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier too, because obviously, you know, Bucky has a superhero, but you know, Sam doesn't. He doesn't have anything. Right. And he doesn't get the beat the hell look. And, you know, even though he's just a normal guy who has gone through it, but we won't get that with him. We kind of get the more of the Captain America vibe of like, oh, I can get through anything. Yeah. I can fall. And, you know, that's the cool thing about Hawkeye is that I think everyone likes, I mean, it's one of those things too where like Jeremy Renner just as an actor is like pretty much 100% with everyone. I don't think there's a person out there, you know, there's never heard anything bad about him. And so he's a very likable person. He's probably, I mean, we always say every person that kind of ended up being in the Marvel universe has been the perfect person for it. But like, he really is. I mean, Hawkeye's this guy that normally is a kind of, you know, when you think of that comic book character, it's a guy that's very accurate. Sounds boring.
Right.
But they make fun of it. And he does it so well because he's Jeremy Renner. He's kind of that man of town. You know, he's not Chris Evans, handsome, but he's also just like a cool guy. Like Jeremy Renner seems like a cool hang. And that makes Hawkeye a cool hang. Right. And this is kind of what this show is based off of. But to, you know, elaborate further on this episode, we want to talk about Echo. Who is Echo? She made her first appearance in Daredevil #9 in December 1999. She is primarily a character in Daredevil. She is also the adopted daughter of Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, which is the prevailing theory at this time of who her mysterious uncle is in the show. We're sure it's not Uncle CT.
We're sure it's not Uncle CT. There was a 3-second laugh that I must have missed, but there was a 3-second laugh in the episode that everybody on the internet has declared that they've positively identified as Vincent D'Onofrio, who played Wilson Fisk in the Daredevil Netflix series, which is supposedly not canon to the MCU. Right. The other thing is that there are rumors galore that Charlie Cox is going to show up as Matt Murdock in No Way Home, which would then bring the Daredevil character back in. So mostly everyone's about 99% sure that this is Vincent D'Onofrio and it's Kingpin, and that's going to play a larger role moving forward. And that's why I kind of feel like if Kingpin's coming into the TV series, and he's obviously going to be in probably a main role in the Echo series, which was confirmed to be a spinoff from Hawkeye. I kind of find it harder to believe that he would show up as a big bad in a Spider-Man movie. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know, but some of these characters outside of He Who Remains, Kang the Conqueror from the Loki series that are the bad guys, I think are like street level bad guys. You know what I mean? They're going to keep like Agatha's getting a TV series. She's not getting a movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not going to see the Flag Smashers anytime on the big screen. Like that's played out from Captain America, or we both keep doing that, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it'd be difficult kind of for me to see them jumping that up to the big screen, but yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think that this is Kingpin and this is how they're going to roll?
It seems like it's Kingpin based on like what you said, the laugh. I mean, my hope was, and I said what I said earlier with Spider-Man because I know of this.
Yeah.
And my hope was that this we get Kingpin and then this evolves into, because we're still in New York.
Right.
And it's not that we always kind of joke around. Everyone jokes around. What's the one like flaw with the MCU, even though it doesn't really, it's not that big, but buildings are falling down everywhere, and yet like where is certain characters?
Yeah.
And that's like the joke that people make about the MCU. But maybe this is kind of where things sort of maybe tie together with New York City, is that we have the Hawkeye character lead into Kingpin, which leads us somehow into Spider-Man. I mean, that's why I said what I said, because of this. It would be cool if my biggest issue is I'm not a big Daredevil person. I just never have been. It has nothing to do with the Ben Affleck movies. I tried reading those comic books and they just didn't work for me. And I actually gave it an effort. I really did. This wasn't like Guardians of the Galaxy. This wasn't like some of the other things where I just never read before for, whatever reason. Guardians actually is fairly, recent in the scheme of like what they actually, from what the comic book is, or the movies are based off the comic book.
Yeah.
So it's, if you want to bring Daredevil in, hopefully it's secondary. Hopefully it is something where we're not trying to do Daredevil, because I don't think that works. And I hope this is more of a way to bring Spider-Man or Kingpin into the Spider-Man universe. But I also hope this is just a way to like keep Hawkeye around in whatever degree we need to, because like I said, he's such a likable character, and such a character that makes everything else seem less like crazy.
Yeah.
In the sense of like everyone else is flying around, has magic powers, has, can stick to walls, space creatures.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy shooting arrows.
Right.
And I think we still, no matter what, we need that, because we don't have all the things aside, we don't have Tony Stark anymore.
Right.
And literally he is just the smart guy. Beyond, I mean, I don't want to go in like, he had no other powers other than he was just a very smart scientist who was able to create things.
Billionaire playboy philanthropist.
Exactly. Billionaire playboy philanthropist. And so like, there's nothing else about him that is like extraordinary in the sense of powers. He just, and we still need that in the MCU. You and I talk about the groundedness of things, and I love Captain America, but he still was, he had superhuman serum put in him. So as much as that's grounded, there's still this thing that we can't relate. The thing about Hawkeye is nobody could ever be perfect. He shot 18, he played 18, he shot 18. We can't do that. We can't relate to that. But there is the relatability of like, holy crap, I listen to a lot of loud music. My hearing's not as good as it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there is that. So my hope is that no matter what we do with this show, and like I like the Kingpin effect of him being in it, is that we somehow keep Hawkeye a part of this, or Kate.
I certainly think that my prevailing theory, and I think this is the prevailing theory of a lot of people, is that you're going to get young Avengers, you know, they're certainly headed down that path with like Speed and Wiccan and Kate Bishop and some of these other characters that have shown up here and there. Maybe Miles Morales, we'll see. So I definitely think we're going to keep Kate around. I think she's going to be in it for the long haul. What happens to Clint is maybe a little bit up in the air. I hope he doesn't die. Like that would really suck if he died at the
There's
end.
no way they can't kill him. He has to retire. Kill him on
a fucking Disney Plus show.
They just can't kill him because he has a family and children. And like that would be devastating. I would have to take like a week off of work.
It would be rough.
It would be super. We can't do that. Whatever you do, MCU, just have him retire.
Just have him retire.
Like we get this note from Tony that says like, you know, this space, not the space, and this holographic note that like Clint, when you want to hang it up, hit this button and you do it. And it's a holograph. And it's Tony like, hey, I have my place up by the lake. I have another one. You can live by my family.
Right.
Bring yours up. Let's we'll, I won't be there, but hang out with Gwyneth and let's do the stuff.
So with that,